What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One set. I more so was like, oh, if I could, like, I would never just openly call you on the phone and be like, hey, let's chat. Like Peter when he got back from that chick camp and was like, so what's going on?
So how you doing?
How you doing?
What do you mean? Like, son, I just wanted to talk.
And
Click.
Quagmire's like,
Bye.
see ya. Yeah. So good. Okay. So, maybe I'll talk concepts about this song in particular. And share with you and hey, you're recording. I am giving you full reign to like archive this. Like you don't have to share it this week. It's not for the episode, but if you ever want to be like, hey, randomly diarrhea, boom, see ya, and just out of nowhere be like, whoa, where did that come from? Because like YMH does that where they're like throwback, no context, right? Okay, so the song is called Dividedly. So it's Dividely. It is Linkin Park, Billie Eilish, and Slipknot. I believe I sent this to you when I first learned of it. The mashup, it's probably one of my favorite mashups ever, to the point where I was like, I have to do something with this. And
New Divide or Dividedly?
Dividedly. Length is 5 minutes and 29. The account is kill_MR_DJ mashups. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. 2.9 million views. It was about 3 years ago.
2.9 million views, 3 years. Yep. That's the one.
Okay, cool.
Give me the countdown.
The ad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting through this ad here.
And I am going to like maybe say, okay, stop. Let me tell you where my head was so that you can see, because you're trying to understand how my brain works when I hear like the shapes that I see or the things that I see visually in my head when I hear music. So we're going to do this. You ready?
I'm ready. So you do the countdown.
3, 2, 1, play. So immediately my brain wants to acknowledge every single piano note. Dum, 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 dum. But
yeah,
if I'm producing a project that is 5.5 minutes long, I have to understand like, hey, you can't do too much early on. Otherwise, people are going to lose interest after a minute and a half, and they're going to be gone, right? So it really depends.
Like if you put all your bag of tricks out there, it's going to be like, where do you go from there?
Absolutely, yeah. So if I was teaching a class that was like, hey, we're going to work on this for a couple weeks, and we're just going to do this first 30 to 45 seconds, I would try to emulate every piano note and then her vocals that are about to kick in and try to ride that wave and jump in and out, because there's other things that happen in the background too that I would want to be like, hey, I want to get in there. I want to make sure the audience hears everything and sees everything that they hear, right? And that's key. But if we're talking about like, hey, we're gonna do this entire song, you gotta find the moments to do that, right?
Yes.
Okay, where are you timestamp wise? Because I'm at 20.
22 seconds.
Okay, give me a second.
22 seconds.
I'm at
I'm
22.
literally looking at Billie. All right, yeah, I'm literally like stopped at when Billie Eilish is giving that like death stare that she gives.
Yeah, me too. I'm there. So you give me the countdown.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
So that whole last segment with Chester, where they pulled in New Divide, I would 100 100,000% change the energy if I had a soloist trying to depict this entire thing, which I would almost never do, because there's just so much happening. But if I did, I would have to have the soloist say, "Hey, you're playing her part, his part, and you have to channel in like almost like a not a schizophrenic or like a bipolar or a multi or a split personality kind of thing, but something along that lines where it's like, hey, you have to channel your energy to match this over here, and then when it moves, you have to be basically a different person over here. So I would have to set this on someone that is mature enough to be able to say, hey, I can accommodate those differences, right? Yeah. I mean, let's move on. Unless if you have any questions or because
No,
right.
it's cool to kind of see, like, you're talking about, how, that you're seeing like a emotional and bipolar type of vibe in there, and you're trying to portray that feeling through, the dancer, but you're also saying like you gotta, you're not only just moving through the phrases and stuff, but you have to put the emotion behind it. So that's a cool way to think of it.
Yeah, I mean, really,
because like when you think of a dancer, it's not just like saying like, hey, I can do that, am I dancing? But like if you put like emotion through that and feeling, then yeah, that's just even more of it. Like anybody can like do a dance move, but it's more of like if you're showing an expression, or like how you're expressing that movement, which probably separates the more experienced from the intermediate or beginner.
yeah,
That's what I get out of it.
yeah, I mean, and I think I talked about this like early on, but I'm going to say it again. I'm very awkward socially, like with eye contact when I'm talking to people. I I just am insecure. I lack confidence. So a lot of times I'll like chat. I'll like make brief eye contact and then look around and be like, oh yeah, and then this, and then I'll try to like look around. I feel so weird maintaining on like on. It is my birthday, so I'm allowed to do that. It's about maintaining
100%.
the eye contact that I'm just like, ugh. So, sheesh. I want to say 6 to 9 years ago, when I had the studio that I was running, we ran this Christmas party because we always held a holiday party every year, before, um, like a week before Christmas, because most of the kids celebrated Christmas and all of that. Um, just about everyone left other than my family and this, that, and the other. And I just randomly got into this conversation with my brother, Nick, Nick Kopic. And just to differentiate, I'm not talking about Nick Cox.
Yeah.
I in the moment just talk to him about eye contact when you're dancing and when you're performing. And I looked at him for 5 seconds and I moved and I did this most simplistic stuff, but it was the way that I held him just by looking at him and maintaining that eye contact. And he was like, "You literally just owned my life for 5 to 10 seconds." And it was wild because he didn't do anything intricate, or he was like, it was literally just, and it's my biggest downfall. And it's the one thing that I try to preach to my kids the most, because of that moment that I had with him, because I'm like, if I can own him in those 5 seconds, and
Yeah.
it's like you, if you're playing, because you're playing for a large audience, but if you look out into the crowd and you look at someone and they feel that you're talking to them while you're playing, they'll feel that more than if you're just letting your eyes shift all over the place.
Yeah.
Right. And
Every once in a while I'll do that. Like I'll when I'm, in the middle of a song, and yeah, I mean, I'll look out at, the audience if I'm not looking down at my lyric sheet or something, and if there's a lyric coming up or something within that song, I'll look at somebody and kind of give them that, like, almost like singular thing, like, hey, I'm like singing this part to you in a way, like, in unless they're like paying attention. So yeah, like, and it does, get their attention, which
it,
is,
it, it,
interesting in that fact.
it matters so much because, like, for you that is performing for 50, 100, 200 people or 20 people at a time, it takes you engaging with one person and just literally saying, hey. And that's why, who's that one comedian that plays the guitar and he's the comedian with the guitar. He has a conversation. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I think so. I just don't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but the fact that we remember him, it's because he's taking guitar and he's utilizing comedy, and this is something where, because I know that you've entertained the idea of doing stand up, it's like integrate the both of them. Like find
Yeah.
a way to make it work. Like just go on stage and be like Calhoun Tubbs, but Anthony Irvin. Like
Right.
I could see you thriving in that spectrum because you love comedy, you love playing guitar, you have a passion for music. It just seems like the perfect storm. And that's something where I feel like I could see that becoming a thing in the next 2 to 4 years. Honestly, I could see that. Do we want to get back on this track?
Yeah, let's keep looking. Yeah.
All right.
So we're both at 56, right?
Yeah, I'm at 56.
Okay,
Countdown.
cool.
You.
1, 2, 3, go. Okay.
Where you at?
2:14.
Okay. So much to talk about right there because my brain is okay. So I built this in my head for me and my sister to do as like a duet project in here. And like I was super ambitious on it and she just it wasn't like, and I think it's important to say like, hey, when we're both ready to do this, we're doing this. And it's like if she isn't in the headspace, I didn't want it to feel forceful. I didn't want it to be like, oh, come on, I have this really great idea. Come on.
Yeah, you
It
never
needs,
want to kind of be forcing people to, feel like they have to do something. You want them to be on your same level because then you guys are going to come in with the same energy, same, be on the same level with everything instead of trying to, beg that person and try to get on that level.
right. And notably, um, I built this downstairs. Wow,
Mm.
downstairs basement.
Beefman.
Um, more so to give my nieces an opportunity once our studio closed to be able to
Mm-hmm.
dance, and all of them are doing different things. They're either doing
Mm-hmm.
cheerleading or jujitsu. Like they all have different avenues.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of lessons down here. Um, my younger sister has had plentiful lessons down here.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, if this gets published, uh, this is just being honest. Like we did most of this, and you did none of it. Um, you don't have to react to it if you don't want to. Nick, my brother Nick, did most of like the black that's behind me here and the ceiling,
Mm-hmm.
but the green, the blue, the floor, the mirrors. My parents and I actually finessed a local glass shop to come cut and install them. Um, so I'm just kind of waiting for the day that she realizes that she's approaching 30 as we are approaching 40, and she says, I feel like I have unfinished business left, because it's going to happen. She's
Mm-hmm.
going to get to that
Yeah.
point. I mean, I think as we age and we look back and we reflect, we're like, I didn't quite get. It's like the Undertaker, right? He looks back on
Right.
his legacy and he's like, I didn't quite leave the way that I wanted to, right?
Yeah, and then you're sticking around for that moment, but then you're never satisfied. Then you're chasing that moment that you're trying to get.
Yeah. So back to the track itself. If we're talking about Billy, that to me would be 90% if it was a duet, or if it's and this is the thing, like we will have different conversations if this is a solo with one person where the one person has to drive in and out of the mashups. To me, I immediately saw it as a male female duet, because you have Chester from Linkin Park and you have Khalid and you have
Mm-hmm.
Billie Eilish, and there's so much driving around and balancing, because they get to the middle of the song where it's Billy's vocals on top of the Linkin Park background instrumental, and then you get to the
Mm-hmm.
part where it's either Chester or Khalid on the opposite. They just flip this around so well. Um, so to me, I would take right now leading into it. I would let if it was a duet, male female, I would let Billy lead in, and I would let the male lead in once because Chess is about to come in and basically build to the breakdown. And I
Yeah.
know I'm not giving like
I was gonna say that this song doesn't seem like you definitely would uh not you can't do this on like from a dance point. I would think you can't have any less than two people, just because there's so much going on musically in this song already, that it would be more complicated for one person to show all this dynamic in one person. Like I feel it would either have to be a big group or no less than a duo.
yeah, to me, a solo is out of the question. And like
Yeah.
I 100% agree. It's either a power duo or it's a
Mm-hmm.
strong, solid group that you can just take different corners of the formation and have it move around and integrate and all this. Um, to me, I've always seen it as a duo, and it's probably exposing myself in that I'm not great with like seeing large groups and moving puzzles like that. Like my brain is not that intricate. It's intricate more so on less people. It's just how I work.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Right.
yeah. All right, let's get back to the song and then we can talk more.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm at 2:14.
Me too.
All right. Say the word.
Uh
Whoopsie.
go. I'm paused at 2:33 and I do definitely want to pull it back and replay that. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I paused at 2:35, so let me know what you want to go back to.
So, what I would say creatively is if this was a group piece, I would reserve someone from like the back corner that was like a silent assassin
Mm.
to actually pull through and cut through the middle of the formation to do this segment that Chester's like, give me reason, because I would
Mm-hmm.
take that person that is in the back line and that person that feels like, oh, I'm in the back line again, like I'm just an extra in the project. But no, give them reason to feel purposeful and pull them to the
Mm.
forefront and then shift them left or right and then make the formation pull or gravitate away from it being symmetric. And then once that big new divide chorus hits where it's like boom, just have everyone go absolutely crazy,
Uh-huh.
but just for a moment and then drop it.
Come back down. Yeah.
Yeah, because if this is a 5-minute project, which is I know you asked me like where does your brain go like philosophically with this stuff, I'm going in on a 5-minute piece, which is not what I generally do. But this has been one of my favorite mashups and music compositions that I've heard in the last like 3 years, and I've been waiting to set a project on it. So I am sharing my thoughts with you on that. What is your timestamp? Or if you want to react, please.
Mine is 2:35, and you did say you wanted to scroll back a little bit. Uh Let me know what you want me to scroll back to. I'll set that. And on your comment piece, it's cool like how you mentioned the fact that you're taking that person from the corner, which to the viewing eye, you may be putting them in that back corner so people don't really recognize this person in those little bits of that dance. And then when they pop out, you're like, oh, this person, like like again, like give me reason. Like it's cool to think like I never I've seen a little because I've been to your recitals, and I kind of started after a couple times going, seeing that if you're listening to the music and you're watching the dancers, you're following the lyric and they're mimicking the lyric and the music within the dance. So if you know what they're trying to say in like movements, I'm like, okay, well, they're really like, if you're listening to a lyric, the dancer is like giving that special movement to that specific lyric. So it's cool to kind of see that in that moment of like bringing that person forward to match what that lyric is saying.
Yeah, for me, pardon me, I'm sorry. My students, kids would always ask me, when are we getting our spots? When are we learning our formations? And it was the most anxiety ridden thing
Ridden.
because I never wanted to put a child in the back and make them feel like you're not good enough to be in the front. It was the absolute hardest thing ever. And it still is. I hate it. I still have students asking me, hey, it's February. When are we getting spots? And I'm like, late April, early May. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's because I want to present the material and see how people handle it. Not just, oh, let me push this information to you 1 week, and the next week, if you don't have it, you're in the back, or I'm putting you off stage. It's not like that.
Right.
Like for me, some people, and when I say people, I mean some artists, teachers, respectable colleagues. They come in and say, "Hey, I want you here. I want you here. I want you here. I want you here." And hey, if you have the brain for that up front, I am not knocking you. And people will knock me for saying, wow, you're generating and presenting choreography and then moving the kids around.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I do that is because when I say the reason, I feel like there's probably more than one. But for me, growing up, I was the boy, so I was center all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one boy at my studio, and
Uh-huh.
I feel like I definitely feel like my older sisters and even my younger sister like saw that happen and were like, "That's so unfair." And to me, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I didn't ask for this treatment, but I'm doing what I love. And it took me on the journey that I went on. And I'm here today. And
Absolutely.
and at this point, it's very much like when I have to create recital routines and I have to think about which students stand where. Okay, are you front? Are you back? Are you in? Are you out? And when I say in or out, I mean more central or more like closer to the wing.
Mm-hmm.
I do my best to try to rotate everyone around to make sure everyone has the opportunity to be in all of those spaces.
Right.
Um, because I had sisters that were stuck in the back for entire routines or in the back corner. And it's not about like, hey, you're in the back and in the corner because you need to follow along with the people in the front that know their stuff. For me, I've always been about, you need to push someone to the front to give them the opportunity to shine,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that has always been super important to me, because of that. Like so important. Because there's like let's talk about Queen real quick. Let's talk about Freddie Mercury, right? Who thought
Mm-hmm.
he was just like it. And when I watched Bohemian Rhapsody, and hey, I loved it. But when he showed up super late to rehearsal and was just like, I've been thinking about saying boom, 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 boom. And then We Will Rock You just came out of nowhere. And the
Uh-huh.
rest of the group was like, we've been here waiting on you. Like, I never wanted to be that person. And speak to me, please, from a band perspective about your bandmates. And you don't have to name drop about being on time and taking it seriously, because I would love to hear that. And then we can get back to the song.
Yeah, because I didn't really write. I didn't really develop writing music when I was in my first band. I basically was just the guy who played whatever everybody else had written, and I'm like, all right, what's my parts? So I know. And I would probably throw a little bit of something on my own that would just be like, okay, this is just something that I know I play for the song. Nothing to like, hey guys, I wrote something. Let me see what you guys think. It's just more of like, okay, let me know my parts. And if I throw a little, if I throw a little hot sauce on it for a little bit, then that's fine. I didn't really start writing until I really got into my second band. And I wrote like a full song, and my guitar player at the time, really helped me dissect it and turn it into something of a song that we wrote. And still to this day, I think it's one of my best like band pieces that I've ever written as a musician for that specific genre. And then when I started becoming, a solo artist, I always wanted to do like acoustic stuff, but never really had the time for it. And, I just put guitar and voice to paper, started writing stuff. Then I always had the vision of like trying to perform it, but then it never really crossed my mind until I started thinking, I wrote these songs, crap, I really got to start performing them. So, I started going to open mics and really getting that crowd jitter, because I've never been on a stage by myself at that point. I've always been up there with 3, 4, 5 other dudes. And so I did that, got like a lot of my stage fright of being up on a stage by myself. Got a lot of that stage fright out of me. And, it still even took me a while to freely speak on my own until within the last couple of years. And you always say that to me, how like I'm so much more comfortable on the mic within the last like year or two. And I think, I'm still, you know, having my ups and downs with it, but just as, being strongly to be able to talk to an audience freely, it was just as hard for me to just be up there playing by myself. But yeah, I do gotta say that I've never really been shut down when it comes to like writing certain things. It's more have been like, hey, I got this, or hey, he's got that. And sometimes we'll be like, all right, well, if we got all these ideas, how can we combine them all to probably make it into a song or multiple songs? If they don't all fit into one, then we got this part and this part that could probably be used for another song, and maybe this part and another two of these other sections seem to be like either in the same key or format, and we can form them into a song. So thankfully I've never been put in that situation where I was always being turned down, but it's more the fact that an idea was not always used for a specific time at that time.
Yeah, working with a team or working with a band, it's not a lot different as being in a relationship, right? Um,
Yeah.
I was just thinking earlier about like, hey, when did certain relationships find their downfalls? And then when did they start to hit their spike before they were done? And it was because I waited too long to put my foot down. And not like in a way that I was like aggressive, but in a way that I was like, hey, come on, you're kind of doing too much. And then everything changed. Every time I reflect back on it in the last it's 11:51 p.m. February 27th, 2023. In the last 15 to 18 years, it's like, as far as relationships are concerned, it's like, hey, things started to turn over because I try to be nice and out there for people so long. And then
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I started feeling like, oh God, this is getting ugly, and I started being like, and I tried to swallow stuff. And then suddenly I started flipping the script. Things started moving in a different direction. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like this song kind of reflects that, being dividedly. And I think it's important also talking about you coming from being in a band or bands where it's like, hey, I have ideas. And if they're like knocking you down and you got to a point where you're like, no, no, I'm going to go on my own and do my own thing and answer to only myself. There's a lot of respect there.
100%. Yeah.
And it's up to you for time management also. So you have to factor that in, right? And where are we on the song? You said 227?
227. So yeah, let's get back to the song.
Okay. Ready when you are.
Say the word, my buddy. My buddy.
Freaking go. Pause.
Okay.
What's your timestamp?
3:52.
Okay. Did you get to the dun 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 boom 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 like that spot, or are you not?
I think so. Yeah.
So pull back like a couple seconds. I'm paused. 351.
Okay. Yeah, I'm 3:52. So I should have. Yeah, I definitely heard what you said.
You know where I'm going at. Okay.
It was basically going into another transition. Yeah. So
Yeah, I feel like everything that just happened was so much like if you have multiple bodies, it's hey, make a group visual out of this. Maybe make the right side or take 3 people over here, peel, and then push it into this central fold. If we have 9 people, say, or 10 people, 3 over here, 4 in the middle, 3 over here, I see a ripple happening from the 3 over here doing stuff, and then it pulls, and then the 4 in a like a centerfold doing stuff. Pardon me, and then it pushes to the left 3, and then maybe the left 3 passes it back over, and then maybe the right 3 passes it back over, and then maybe it goes to the central, and then maybe they break it, and then both sides do the same thing, and then everyone shuts the fuck up, and then we get someone that enters in on the next part where it goes, isn't it lovely? Like something like that, where it's like one person enters the scene. So,
right. Because you got to mask all those different, you got Khalid, Billie Eilish, Chester, all doing their different lyrical parts, and those are just lyrics. I mean, there's a decent amount going on musically too. So that's why I was saying, like, it feels like this definitely can't be no less than 2 people being involved with this type of thing, because you got so many things going on lyrically, so many things going on musically, that if you're trying to portray a lot of emotions, one person just can't do that. So and like you're saying with the groups, you can involve so many different people, and everybody can, portray a lot of those different dynamics.
I'd almost do this as a trio, and trios are the absolute, like, in my opinion, 100% hardest thing to do, because if you set 3 people on stage, it's any 2 of them are going to be the strongest one, and one of them is going to be the weaker link, right?
Okay.
So it's so hard, because if that third person is super strong, they might be as strong as this person, and then this person's weak sauce, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's
Right.
so difficult to present a trio,
Hmm.
and I admire anyone that puts a trio on stage because it's like, whew, um, yeah, one person is going to be the oddball out. One of these things are not like the others, just like that, immediately,
Mm-hmm.
immediately. Um, but I could actually see this being set as a trio as long as the three performers um, are strong in different aspects, right? If
Right.
they, because if one person can present themselves, not like Billie Eilish, but like to match her pitch and her delivery vocally, and if one person can match the weekend or not the weekend, Khalid, and then the
Mm-hmm.
other person can match. Oh, geez. There isn't another vocalist. If the other person can fit the instrumentation in the background the entire time behind them,
Yeah.
like they're trolling, it would be perfect as three people. But
Gotcha.
it takes a magician to make that happen. For sure.
Hmm.
For sure. Okay, where you at?
351.
Me too.
All
You
right.
give me the cue this time.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. I'm at 4:08 and I can play it to 4:15. You don't have to rewind.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, if we're talking about multiple bodies, I would let like the person that I'm allowing to dance on the vocals do the vocals in like those rhythms because they're absolutely separated from the guitar or don't go boom. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
the and allow the second person to highlight those beats. Um,
Yes.
and if it was a trio, I would utilize the third person to intermingle between the duet with the partnering and with the vocals, and then shift over to the other person so that the vocals and the instrumentation would feed into each other. That's where my brain is right now. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's how I would approach it because I
Hmm.
would want the audience visually to watch and hear and appreciate the music first. Not the music, but the vocals first because it starts with the "Isn't it lovely" before the music kicks in the background, and then
Mm-hmm.
let the partner shift off of the vocal partner and shift over to the instrumental partner. And then, I mean, if it wasn't a trio, I would split it into these four over here. If it was an even like 4-4-4, yeah, I would do that for sure.
Mm.
You're at,
Interesting.
you're at, you said 4:15.
415. Mm-hmm.
There when you are.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Good.
Good. Okay, good.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Um, so concluding that, it's more so a matter of the flip side is when we talk about dividing, we're shortening numbers. And I think when we talk about the podcast and when we talk about people understanding, it's more about enlarging like an audience, but it's also encompassing and understanding like, hey, not only is Linkin Park one of my favorites, and this mashup is probably my favorite ever. Ever.
Yeah, it was definitely a good song. I would definitely listen to like more of this mashup if there was more from this guy that did a couple more of these. I know it seems like he has a couple other mashups, but if he has like another couple songs with that same mashup. Now I was trying to think. I couldn't hear what Slipknot thing they were getting in there because obviously Corey Taylor didn't sing it in it, so it must have just been Slipknot playing in the back. I would assume the dun dun dun, the toms from the drums had to be Slipknot. So I guess the drum portions of the song to build up the dramatic portions, I would feel that was probably the Slipknot areas.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Now I'll try to find it. Linkin Park, Billie Eilish, Khalid, Slipknot. Show more. Slipknot Snuff is the song.
Okay. Yeah, because that song was written about their bass player who passed away.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah.
I didn't get
all around that was a good song though. Yeah.
I didn't get like immensely detailed about like what shapes I would make with my arms or like getting on a floor, but I just wanted to share like dynamically, like, hey, when I hear this, this is where my brain goes to, and I hope that at least shed a little bit of light into
Yeah,
my
it's
creativity
cool.
for you.
That definitely, showed me a little bit of like how you see something. And as we were going through this, I'm like, this would also be another thing to show you how like my process is like when I'm writing a song. Like if there's a way I can pull up one of my old pieces that I'm working with, I can dissect to like what I was thinking and how I break down sections of a song and like
Sure.
verse, chorus, verses between the two verses to kind of make them differentiate but not too similar. That would be another cool thing. So then we both are even more on the same pages of like, okay, this is how I think, this is how you think, and just making our, music and dance even more connected.
Absolutely. Do you have any songs in mind off the top of your head? Like, even if it was like, hey, if I pitch you this song, how would you react to it, like visually, dynamically? Even we don't have to do the entire song,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want to pick my brain, like on my creative spectrum, I would love to just share with you right now. Like for my birthday, since I had
Mm-hmm.
it ended 9 minutes ago, so I don't get to pull that card anymore. But I know you're so interested about like how I approach my work from a mental philosophical perspective, and I'd love
Mm-hmm.
to share it with you. Is there anything or any song off the top of your head that you can think of?
I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything right now. But yeah, I mean, if I did, I would definitely, you know, let you know. Let me try to see if there's something that short.
I
You know what?
I could
This might
recommend
be
stuff, but I want this to be entirely an on you thing. And when you recommend it or suggest it, I want to react to it and tell you, hey, this is where my head goes immediately right now.
Yeah, here we go. It's a 4-minute song, but it's still very nice. I'm going to send you the video here in a sec.
Okay.
So, all right, here we go. So, get out of here. So, I've told you about this guy for many years. City and Color.
Yeah.
So, I've gone back and listened to this song recently, and I'm like, this popped into my head when you were trying to tell me about, songs that, could, how would you view this? And, when you asked me how I would be able to view something visually,
Mhm.
I would want to see, if not, like I said, if not going through the whole song, and we don't have to drag it out as much as the first one, but we can even go through it, like listen to it, and then, just see how you would dissect a little bit of it.
Yeah, I also broke down the previous song like every 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cut. Right.
Because I'm sure you and again, because you've listened to that before, I'm
Mhm.
assuming you have never listened to this one. So it would be probably more evident for you to listen to it all the way through than get your because I'm sure you'll be able to get visuals and everything through it, just like I would have certain things too, musically. But yeah, we can watch it through, then dissect.
Or cut it after a minute because I mean, for our friends that are just
Mhm.
listening, you might not
Yeah.
catch this audio, and we don't want you to just sit and wait for 4 minutes, right?
Yeah, if anything, if we'll listen to the whole thing, but we'll cut from the beginning to the end, so that obviously that stuff just gets cut out.
Okay, that's
So I sent you the song, so if you
I
want to pull it up and let me know when you're ready.
I have it. It's 4 minutes long, and I'm ready. And give me the countdown.
Okay. Uh,
Do you want me to not pause or CB in the middle at all?
if you need to, definitely feel free.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So, wow. Immediately, it's the story of Oliver Twist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's what I saw. And coupled with that is one of my favorite dance routines that I've ever seen presented online is the Orphan piece from the company. Cookies. They're from SoCal, California,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if I've ever sent it to you. I've definitely shown it to Cheyenne, and it has helped her understand like where my brain is like creatively with the dance stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I heard that song, and within 30 seconds, I immediately was like, Orphan.
Gotcha.
Like, that's where my brain went immediately. It was
Mm.
beautiful, and it's something that I would work with. I would place or present on a group of people because I'm like, this is deep. I would
Yeah.
do it. I would use it 100%.
And
It's strong. on that level, I was like, wow, yeah, yep,
Yeah, Dallas's voice and just musical ability in this age of his songwriting, it was just him and a guitar, and a lot of his first record wasn't even supposed to come out. He wrote a bunch of songs just to have them, and they got leaked, and then people started hearing them like, dude, when are you gonna get another record out? And he's like, I wasn't even expecting these things to come out, but now I guess I gotta write another record. And this was on that next record. And now he does a lot more full band features, which still is great, but a lot of people will recognize him through these first two albums. Of the first album, I think, was called Sometimes, and this song was from the album Bring Me Your Love. And the emotions that he portrays in his songs just capture you right off the bat. And he has that high soprano yet like gentle voice that like gives you like a calming feeling. And I think that's what you definitely felt right off that very first note. You're like, okay, this
sure,
is definitely, the music and the voice like match, and like feels like, okay, this guy, like this music fits what he's singing. So, and then like you're going
yeah,
through this dramatic ride, and then the ending brings you in a whole uplifting era. And I think that's why I love this song so much, that it pulls you in so many directions.
sure.
And I feel as a dancer, I feel you would do a good job of being able to display of how the pulling in all those directions. I feel you would be able to know how to do that.
It's because you seem to know me, right?
Just a
It's
tad,
great. Just a tidbit.
just a tidbit.
Okay. I have something that I want to share with you, but I'm like, how do I share it with him? Do I share? Maybe I just share the link with you on Facebook.
Yeah, and then I'll just open it up.
All right, hold on. This is I mean, Cheyenne has some favorite like hip hop videos. Um, this is probably her favorite like contemporary video where she's like, I want to watch that back again and again. And it's so powerful. So when you're ready, you just let me know.
Whoopsie. Go. All right, that was cool. And then they ended up in the same position at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my like, um,
I can
I
tell.
I try to blend like hip hop and contemporary as best I can, and that to me is one of my favorite integral like.
That's like the top of the mountain, like what you would want to achieve in like one of your things,
Well, as far as like
in a way.
aspirations, yeah, yeah, for sure.
There you go. Yeah,
Um,
I got you. I got you.
I think a lot of my work has kind of gravitated into a blend, but it just depends on who I have to work with also, and I have to navigate, okay, I need to make this more hip hop punk, not punk, or hip hop pop, and I need to make this more hip hop with a splash of contemporary,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done that before. But yeah, I know you've wanted to kind of channel my brain about like my approach to stuff. So I gave you the opportunity with the first piece, and then I showed you the second piece where I was like, hey, this is one of my favorite works. Boom, right
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, so that not just you, but the audience, anyone watching can understand, yeah, that's it. Cool.
And I can see now why it's like that way to you. And I think it was good that we saw that at the end of this. So you were able to, you know, show the first video, and then I gave you a song, and then you're like, okay, now that I've given you my explanations on these two songs, here's and I'll say this word lightly, but I gave you the explanations on these. Let me show you what I feel perfection is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it. And I can see like his, yeah, I've always been drawn to, like, you know, when dancers are like in sync by like milliseconds at a time, like their hand motions and like the body
Sure.
is like they're like everybody is in sync. And I think from a music standpoint, a musician is all about like timing and, you know, synchronization and being on point. And I think that's
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
me is like, you know, very crucial. And when you see like a group of people in sync, especially with that many people on stage, and they're in sync by like milliseconds, that's the coolest I've ever seen.
Absolutely. 100%. No
So
questions
I
asked.
feel I've definitely gotten a lot more uh, knowledge into your dance world, and like I said, I hope we can also transition this into now me showing you how I think, in maybe if we can figure this out on me showing up and bringing in a recording session and showing you how I went through maybe like a past song that I released, and showing you how I went through the process of writing it. Or, you
Absolutely.
know, this is what I was thinking and this is how I wrote it, you know.
100%. Hey, everyone that tuned into this, this was very impromptu. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and thank you for tuning in. This has been One Set. All the love to everyone following along. Anthony, thank you so much. Anything before we sign off?
So I want to say, love you, bro. Thank you to our listeners and supporters. Again, this has been another episode of One Set.